Bart for News Talk 850 WFTL.
From the Anajar and Levine Studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
The following program is paid for by Glazer and Associates. The views and opinions expressed in this content do not reflect those of 850 WFTL.
Good morning and welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs. We're here each Sunday at 11 on 850 WFTL, and we are located in South Florida. Also, we are live on our YouTube channel, Condo Craze and HOAs. Please join us there. You can ask us questions in the chat room. Again, I'm Karen Curtis, and I'm here today with attorney Eric Glazer, who is with Glazer and Sachs, PA. Eric is board certified by the Florida Bar in condominium and plan development law, and he has firms with attorneys in Fort Lauderdale and Orlando. Now, we're here each week to answer all your calls and emails about the issues that make life in your condominium or HOA absolutely crazy from one minute to the next. And we'd love to get the phone lines going early, answering all your calls and emails as well. But if you have any questions about your condo or HOA, whether you're a member on the board, maybe you just live there and you're having a problem, give us a call toll free in the studio, 877-850-8588, 877-850-8585. If you prefer to email your question to Eric, you can do so by visiting his website, condocrazeandhoas.com, and by clicking on the Contact Us tab.
All right, good morning, everybody. Before we start, I want to say one thing. Just grab a pen and paper right now, please. Just take 2 seconds out. Grab a pen and paper because I'm going to ask you to do me a big favor in a little while, okay? And I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to need everybody to do. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody who showed up at our class in Fort Lauderdale this week. Karen, I think we taught Tuesday, I think it was.
Yeah.
We had a mob scene.
Really?
It was unbelievable. We had so many people in our class. You know, I think if I have to say, you know, to me, that declared COVID over, you know. Everybody was sitting next to each other. It was kind of unbelievable what the class was jam-packed. Everybody eager to learn, so I certainly want to thank everybody who came out. All right, a lot to talk about today, as a matter of fact. But, of course, I just want to remind everybody to do 2 things. Number 1, of course, join our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, go to search for Condo Craze and HOAs, and subscribe, please. And you'll get notifications about what's going to be on the show and stuff like that. And also subscribe to our email list. And you can subscribe to our email list by going to the show's website at condocrazeandhoas.com. And by doing so, you're going to get announcements about the show. You'll get announcements about our seminars. You'll get copies of our newsletters. All the good stuff that comes with being a member of our email list. And, of course, we do a blog every Monday morning at hoa-condoblog.com. Again, hoa-condoblog.com. Tomorrow's topic, what a topic it is. Before you hit that send button for your emails, board members, guess what? That email is now an official record according to this new document by the DBPR, declaratory statement that came out, and we're going to talk about that this morning.
Even if it's on your own account.
Even if it's on your own account, yeah. But before we get there, I just want to, I asked everybody to grab a pen and paper, and I want to give you an update on where our bill is at for mandatory condo education. And you're not going to believe it, but as we speak, the bill is dead.
Why?
And why did it die? Because it simply ran out of time at the Senate and at the House. Believe it or not, it had to go through 3 committees in the House and the Senate. It went through the first committee in the House and was approved 17-0. Went through the first committee in the Senate, was approved 8-0, and then simply ran out of time. So, is it no way that it passed? Yes, it can still pass. And I'll tell you how, and here's why I need you to get that pen and paper ready. There's a bill that's going through our Senate and our House right now called 7042. Okay, it's actually a Senate bill, I should say. Senate Bill 7042. That's the bill that's going to include a lot of things regarding condominium law. So who is sponsoring that bill? Senator Jennifer Bradley is sponsoring that bill. So her bill can always be amended to include mandatory condo education. So this week I wrote
Okay.
a lengthy letter to Senator Bradley explaining the importance of mandatory condo education. I mean, they're about to pass the most complicated set of laws ever in the history of Florida condominium law, with no obligation to learn any of it from any of the directors. Can you believe that?
No.
I mean, it sounds insane, right? So I spelled it out to her staff, I spelled it out to her, and I would like the fan of the show to spell it out to her as well. So I'm going to ask everybody to send her an email. Okay, very quickly. Just send her an email. Senator Bradley's address is Bradley, B-R-A-D-L-E-Y, .Jennifer, Jennifer, .web at flsenate.gov. Again, I'm going to repeat it.
Hang on, no, I have it up at the
You have it up? That's
YouTube
great.
channel.
Perfect,
Bradley,
perfect.
B-R-A-D-L-E-Y .Jennifer,
Jennifer
.web at
flsenate.gov.
flsenate.gov.
Perfect. Please.
Yeah, go there.
Yeah.
It's up.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen. Please send her an email saying that you want Bill 7042 amended
7042.
to include mandatory condominium and HOA education. Okay, if that's what you want. And I have to tell you, it seems that's what everybody wants. I can't imagine not having it with the year that's up ahead. All right. More big news. Let's talk about tomorrow's blog. Again, big declaratory statement by the DBPR that says your emails are now official records. What does that mean? Someone could walk in and ask for a copy. And this was done by way of what's called the declaratory statement. It wasn't a court opinion. It wasn't an arbitration opinion. So I want to explain to everybody what a declaratory statement is. And if you're interested, it's Florida Statute 120.565. It's very simple. And all it says is that declaratory statements by agencies, agencies can interpret their own rules. Any substantially affected person may seek a declaratory statement regarding an agency's opinion as to the applicability of a statute or any rule or any order of the agency as it applies to their set of circumstances. So what happened? A man by the name of James Hansman, he recently sought a declaratory statement from the DBPR. And what did he want to know? He wanted to know whether email communications between and among board members are official records. Are they considered official records within the meaning of Florida Statute 718.111?
So that was the impetus.
Yeah. Well, are they official records? Where the records relate to the association's operations, right? In other words, they're talking about the association, but they're sent to and from the personal computer and devices of the board members rather than association-owned computers and devices. That was the question.
Yeah, well, if you've taken Eric's board certification class, which we're trying to get that amendment into the bill, if you go to YouTube channel, you'll see all the information there. But anyway, you know that the answer to that question is that as long as the emails were on the private email accounts of board members, they are not official records, and therefore the unit owners cannot obtain copies of them. Well, that has all changed in one fell swoop because of a declaratory judgment, which is like, boom, a summary judgment, right?
Yeah, it's like an opinion of the division.
And that's it.
In this declaratory statement, Siobhan Christian, who is the division director, opined that, you ready, board members? The official records of the association include all other written records of the association, not specifically including the foregoing, which are related to the operation of the association, quoted the statute. Nothing in this provision exempts such records when created or transmitted with a board member-owned device rather than an association-owned device.
Yeah, well.
So, period. You do it on your own computer. The division is now taking the position that that is an official record.
Wow. I mean, that's... Well, we talked about this last week with Barry.
Yeah, you sure did,
and
right?
And the plain meaning of the statute is always the starting point in statutory interpretation.
Right.
So the dictionaries are used to determine the meaning of the words.
Yeah, basically that's what they were saying. And finally, we'll sum up. Here's what the division director said. Emails constitute a form of writing. He cites the Black Law Dictionary. Consequently, emails are written records, and their existence as such does not depend on the ownership of the device
Wow,
through which the emails are transmitted.
I have a problem with that.
Yep.
I have a big problem with that.
A lot of people are going to have a problem with it. I mean,
that's
this is
on
a
my
big
own
deal.
computer. You have no right. I mean, I'm
Yep.
sorry. I mean, if
He sums it up. Accordingly, emails that otherwise constitute official records are not excluded from the statutory definition of official records merely because they are created or transmitted with board members' personal devices.
What if it's a board member talking to an attorney?
Maybe if it's attorney-client privileged information, yeah, that's probably that's probably still privileged.
I email something about the IRS. The IRS can go into my personal email and look at it. I don't.
Well, a unit owner can certainly just make an official request
All right.
to see whatever the hell you spoke about with other board members if it involves the operation of the association. Basically, that's what.
But how do
that's
they
what
know
director
that the
was saying.
email lives in your email?
Karen,
I mean, if they constitute a form of writing, no doubt some text messages also constitute the form of writing. So how is that going to work too? Because they're texting, right? What's the
right,
difference?
they could be texting, right?
Same
so,
difference.
Let's say a unit owner makes a request for emails between board members during the month of February 2022. Now, he makes that request. Now what happens? Do all of the board members have an obligation to go to the office and print out all of their emails that took place during February 22? Who in the world is going to do that? And then, suppose each director simply says, we don't communicate by email, sorry,
Boom.
there's nothing to give you.
They have a pact.
And they had sent 1,000 emails
Right.
that month. How are you going to know?
Exactly.
Really, how are you going to know? You know?
If you have a pact with the board that says, don't let anyone know we do email on our private
course.
emails, boom. If one of them says they do and here they are, then you're screwed.
Right, then you're screwed, right. If the board stays together, though, and says we don't communicate by email, what do you do?
But
How are
I
you going to
wouldn't,
get their emails? How
I
you gonna
wouldn't
get
trust
their
any of
texts?
those board members to not turn on me.
The weakest link in the chain,
And then
right?
what happens if they do turn on you and then all of a sudden these emails become available and you said they weren't there? Is there a punishment?
The question is this simply enforceable? And it's
Right.
going to be interesting to see the first arbitration case that comes out of this.
Yes.
Because you know that there's going to be people tomorrow as a result of this show that's going to file an official records request with their condo that says, I want to see all emails and texts between and amongst board members.
So texts
Now,
are
I don't
part of
know
it too?
I don't know if the decision's retro. Well, sure, I would think it is if it's on your own personal device, right?
Okay.
Same thing. No reason why text would be different.
I
But-
guarantee you're going to get back, we don't
right.
use our personal
And we know that that's not true, but I'm curious to see what the first arbitration case is going to say when it relies on this declaratory statement. It's going to be even more interesting if that arbitration case gets appealed and we ultimately get a decision by the court. Will a director, think about it, will a director ever be required to physically turn over their phone
Oh my
or
gosh.
their computer by a court? With a decision like this,
Only
who
if they
knows?
deflate a football. No,
Yeah.
but the decision is debatable. So, whether or not these emails are official records, it's undeniable that it's simply unenforceable.
Yeah, that's how I think. How are you really going to enforce this? But I think we're either going to see a legislative fix to this decision, or maybe some sort of a court opinion within 1 year, because there's lots of owners again who are going to jump on it in the interim. Keep in mind, board members, now, I'm telling you, before you hit that send button on your emails or on your texts,
Know that
you better think that, in a month from now, somebody is going to ask for it, and somebody now, at least under this opinion, has the right to see it.
Like John Gruden, I mean, you think you're sending it to a board member, you're actually sending it to every member of the community. Remember that.
That's exactly how it is right now, Karen, if this declaratory statement is held up. But it's a shocking, big decision from the DVPR. And again, if you're a board member, you really, really better be on guard now. But I'd love to know what our listeners think of this declaratory statement, think of this opinion. Give us a call. Karen or I are waiting to answer your questions. Number is 877-850-8585. Again, 877-850-8585. We'll be back right after this.
There are very large management companies, and there are very
All over the
small
world,
management
people have
companies.
plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc., where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new by means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion, or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
Oh no! An unexpected leak! Jay, you know that's no way to solve a roof problem. Call Best Roofing. We solve roof problems.
We are DMI Paving and Seal Coating, Florida's parking lot experts. We specialize in asphalt paving and repair, including pothole repair, seal coating using JC7 or polytar, concrete curbs, ramps, and walkways, and striping and pavement marking, as well as ADA compliance. We service commercial properties, including homeowners associations, apartment communities, shopping malls, warehouses, stadiums and arenas, and more. Experience is worth more than anything in an industry like ours, and our staff has decades of it. We have specialized equipment for any job, regardless of size, saving you time and money. DMI has a reputable history. We have been in business since 1956. We serve the state of Florida from 6 locations. Let us bid on your next parking lot project. Visit us online at dmipavingandsealcoating.com.
There are very large management companies, and there are very small management companies. And I think Affinity sits somewhere in the middle of that, where they are big enough to provide you with all of the back of the house services, the accounting, the infrastructure, the support systems, but small enough to be high touch.
We believe at Affinity that we do the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Cynthia writes in, how about text messages? Would the decision apply to text messages?
Yeah.
In my opinion, absolutely. What's the difference between sending a text message on your personal device and sending an email on your personal device? No question to me it would apply to text messages. Kelly wants to know, are there attorneys that represent unit owners, qualified attorneys? Well, that's what this show's all about. You know, our firm, Glazer and Sachs, we don't just represent associations. The majority of the practice, in all candor, is certainly devoted to representing associations, but you know, the way I practiced my whole career was, if someone comes in and they're a unit owner and, you know, they're getting the shaft or they're really getting screwed over by an association, of course I'm going to take that person's case. Of course I'm not going to kick them out the door because they're not an association. Of course I'm going to help them. You know, I feel that's what I went to law school for, to help people, you know, but not all firms feel that way. A lot of firms feel that, nope, we're only going to represent associations. I'm going to represent the person I think is right. That's how I've always done it.
Also, hey, a good point says board members making secret pacts no bueno, but what happened to the fiduciary duty of honesty? That's true.
Well, hey, if the emails are all, you know, on the up and up, then what's the big deal?
That's
about
right. Turn them
them,
over. Right.
You know, sure. Well, yeah. Here's the things we discuss. Here's the hard work we put in.
Well, here's
no
someone
problem.
else who wants to be on the board with all this stuff, though.
Right. The
if you're going to have to be like totally nude about everything.
Well, yeah, the question is, how do you really enforce this? Okay, someone makes a request. So let's say it's sent to the manager. The manager has a 5-member board. The manager is going to send an email or call all board members and say, look, I just got a request for all emails between you guys. Can you please get it to me within 10 days? And if the board members don't do it, now what? You have an official records request case in arbitration, right? So, I mean, and the association is going to lose according to this declaratory statement, and they're going to be required to produce those records. Pretty wild scene, and nobody knows how this is going to actually work in the long run, but, you know, we will see. How about we go to the first call of the day? Was it Cheryl in Jupiter? How are you, Cheryl?
Hi, how you doing?
Okay, how can we help?
Well, I actually have several questions. Would that be allowed?
We charge for several questions, so no. All right, go ahead. Let's see. Let's see if we can answer your first one.
Okay, so the first one, I have about 4 different concerns, but the first one is our association, which is a manufactured home community in Jupiter. Of course, everybody owns their own land, but it's a condo association, and one of the rules that you have are that you're not supposed to grow your hedges above 6 feet high. So for the last year, maybe 2 years, we've been talking about trying to get that rule changed, and we put it on the agenda for one of the board meetings a couple of months ago. That before they took the vote, there was no discussion except one of the board members, who we happen to know, suggested that they table the vote on whether we could increase the height restriction to 8 feet until the next board meeting, in order that we could canvass the neighborhood and find out what everybody wanted. So we did just that. We actually did a formal petition, very organized, and about 90% of the people that responded to the petition were in favor of the change.
Okay.
So let me just clarify: there are 133 units.
All right, I got you. So what? So what's the bottom line? Does the board care about what the community said?
No, they don't. So the last board meeting was last Monday night, and they still voted against it, even though at the previous board meeting they told us that we needed to canvass the neighborhood and find out what everybody wanted.
Karen, you know who they need now?
You.
No, they need that woman from the Geico commercial.
Yes. Oh,
who goes around cutting the hedges.
I see you've met Cynthia.
Cynthia, right? Yeah, that's exactly what this case is about. Violation. And she cuts them off.
Yes, an HOA, right?
It's a condo association.
You're saying it's a condo, so they can make reasonable rules regarding common areas, maybe unit use, and this, you know, apparently under the documents, the board has the right to control the height of the hedges. If that's the case, you know, and they can do this by rule. And let me ask you this: in your governing documents, in the declaration, does it talk about the height of the hedges?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think it's only addressed. We have a booklet called "The Rules We Live By," which is part of the
rules we live by. Okay, so then you know, I'd still have to look, because I'm not 100% convinced that the board has the right to, you know, require the hedges to be a certain.
But if
height.
everybody wants them to be a different height, then how come the board can overrule them?
Yeah. Well, because they're the board. The board has the right to make reasonable rules and regulations, right? So the board, you know, while it's, you know, crappy that they didn't listen to, you know, the overwhelming majority of the community, do they have to by law?
Right.
Absolutely not. They don't have to. They have the right by themselves to make reasonable rules and regulations. And as long as it's reasonable to say we want to keep them at 6 feet, sorry, everybody, we know you want to keep it at 8 feet, but, you know, there's things you can do now. So you don't like the way it came out, don't do anything to your hedges, you know, don't listen, and recall the board. And then put the rule the other way. That's one thing you can do. If you can get 90% of the people to vote to increase the height of the hedges, you can certainly get a majority of the people to vote in favor of recalling the board, now that the board completely ignored the concerns of, you know, of the community, the wishes of the community. But Cheryl, since that took so long, you're going to have to call back with the other questions, because the phone's stacked. Sorry about that. How about we go to Michael in Boynton? How are you, Mike?
Turn your radio down.
Michael in Boynton. Going once. Going twice. Mike and Boynton. Nope. Okay,
Yes,
Phil
good
and...
morning.
Oh, there he is.
Good morning, Mike. You just made it. What's up? How can we help you?
Let me see if I can get this all through without taking too much time. We had a rogue board member, that's what I call him, who verbally abused residents mercilessly, repeatedly, and the residents finally had enough and decided to call him, but he resigned before they could complete the petition.
Right.
Okay. Now I'm on the board, and I want to write a motion that says we will have a board review committee to which residents can file a complaint about abusive board behavior. And if a board member is found guilty by this independent committee, they will write to the residents, John Doe had been found guilty of his first abusive offense, and then number 2, and then number 3. And then when the people have had enough of John Doe's abuses, they can rise up and recall him. You see anything wrong with that?
Well, you don't need a committee. I mean, if you get a complaint from a unit owner about the conduct of a specific board member, you could bring it up on the agenda. Put, item number 3 on the agenda, complaint by John Doe against Bill Smith, condo board member. And you can discuss it as a board. You don't have to have a separate committee. And the truth is, even if the board member did this 10 times, there's nothing under the law that would allow you as a board to remove that board member. So,
right. That's why I want this committee to publicize to be independent and to publicize the number of guilty verdicts so that the members can decide that they've had enough or not, because the board can't do anything about
Well,
it.
has anyone talked to him and said, hey?
The board can the board create a committee that deals with board member conduct? I guess, you could create all kinds of committees, and they could report, incidences of bad behavior by the board members to the board members. But, maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe you don't need a separate independent committee. Maybe you could address it as a board. That's what most boards do when they get a complaint.
Yeah, why don't you just
about
talk to
a
the
board
guy?
member. They just talk about it at a meeting. Hey, Joe, you're accused of doing the following, right? We have a letter. What's your response? And if Joe wants to respond, Joe will respond. And if the board wants to, take a vote that they want to acknowledge that he did the wrong thing, they can do that. I don't think you need a separate committee, is what I'm saying. It's
The only thing that bothers me about that, Eric, is if the board is such that it would like to cover for its pals.
Yeah, I understand.
Then you
Okay.
get into trouble.
I understand. Nothing preventing you from forming that committee.
Well, this
If
guy,
you-
he's a verbal abuser, and apparently
Yeah.
he does it all the time. He needs to be
Right.
told, hey, you're a verbal abuser, stop it. That's very simple.
Right. But I understand you saying, some boards, no matter what one board member does, they're going to stick together.
I got your point about just saying stop it. But, if he's a hothead
Yeah.
and he won't stop it, then
it.
he's got to go.
Well, let me tell you something. If the person becomes a real hothead, I mean a crazy person, and starts using vulgar language and language that goes after a person because of their race, religion, color, sexual orientation, whatever, then let me
Or
tell you,
sex.
the board will have a fiduciary duty now to step in and do something about that behavior. And if not, they wind up as a defendant in court. Okay? The board has a duty to protect the unit owners from that type of offensive behavior, regardless of whether or not it comes from a hothead board member or a hothead owner who has a problem with their neighbor. That sometimes happens.
Oh,
Karen,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's take our bottom of the hour break. Keep the calls coming, everybody. 877-850-8585. 877-850-8585. Back right after this.
Is your condominium or HOA in need of accounting services? Look no further. Gerstel & Goldenberg is one of South Florida's largest accounting and auditing firms, as recognized by the South Florida Business Journal, and is one of the few accounting firms uniquely specialized to provide accounting services to their growing condominium and homeowner association clientele throughout Florida. With primary offices in Aventura and Boca Raton, satellite offices in Naples and Orlando, and a professional staff of 65, Gerstel, Rosen & Goldenberg is prepared to meet the needs of any condominium or HOA in the state. The professionals at Gerstel, Rosen & Goldenberg also have experience working with timeshares, cooperatives, hotel condominiums, mixed-use buildings, and ancillary operations like restaurants, spas, and country clubs. Put their 25 years experience in your corner. Gerstel, Rosen & Goldenberg, 305-937-0116. That's 305-937-0116 or grgcpa.com.
Someday, you will need insurance. And for that day, you'll be glad you wrote down Insurco Insurance and Financial Services. Why? Because Insurco virtually insures everything. They're a full-line insurance agency that'll put together the best possible coverage and premium for almost anything. Need homeowners or condo insurance? Call Insurco. Need auto or motorcycle insurance? Call Insurco. How about golf cart insurance or trailer and RV insurance? Just call Insurco for a free quote. They're open every day. From renters insurance, officers and directors insurance, and personal liability umbrellas to all types of business insurance, boat insurance, cancer policies, life, health, and annuities. All you need is English and Spanish. Insurco Insurance and Financial Services. It's the only name you need. Office at 14401 West Sunrise Boulevard in Sunrise, inside Edmore Chevrolet.
Call 954-846-1206. 954-846-1206. That's 954-846-1206.
Need an insurance evaluation, audit, or quotation for your condo association or homeowners association? If so, then you need to speak with our insurance experts at Mack & Waltz. We insure over 800 associations, and we are the clear leader in this marketplace. Mack & Waltz has been in business since 1989. We write insurance on billions of dollars of property values. We are an independent insurance agency representing insurance companies which specialize in condo and HOA insurance. The staff at Mack & Waltz works closely with board members and property managers and regularly attends association meetings to help educate the association about their insurance policies. To learn more about how Mack & Waltz can save you money and improve your insurance program, call now 954-640-6225 and ask for Greg Waltz. 954-640-6225. Mack & Waltz Insurance Group. Let us protect your association. Hour of Condo Craze and HOAs here on 850 WFTL. Karen Curtis with attorney Eric Glazer. He specializes in community association law. Taking your phone calls 877-850-8585. And join us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where we are live, and you can chat with us there at Condo Craze and HOAs.
Okay, we have two important questions, and it's great. It keeps coming in on the chat section on YouTube. Please tell me if it's true that there is a $150 maximum for an application fee for sales or leases.
Good one.
Our board is charging $230.
Nope.
Yeah, that $150 maximum applies to condominiums. So I don't know if you're calling in, writing it from a condo or an HOA. In a condo, you're right, max now is $150, but there is no max when it comes to HOAs. As a matter of fact, one big area where condo boards can get in big trouble is HOAs are allowed to charge when somebody moves in, if their documents allow for it, a capital contribution fee. Like you want to move in, okay, you got to move in, but you got to put down $1,000 extra, $2,000 extra. And we use it to make capital improvements to the community.
Yeah, our condo was trying to do that, and they found out they can't from 718. You cannot.
Yeah, you cannot. They are limited to the $150. And trust me, some attorney gave an association the wrong advice in that regard, and I was forced to defend them in a class action lawsuit.
Wow.
Where they had to give back a lot of money. Let's put it that way. So condos, be careful. Don't go over that 150 mark, no matter what. All right, let's go back to the phones. How about Philip in Valencia? How are you, Philip?
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. My call has to do with the grievance committee.
Yes.
The communication in our community with the board and management and the residents is less than poor at times. My question, if a homeowner has an issue with the board or management's performance or lack thereof on an issue, can the resident request it be looked into by the community's grievance committee?
The grievance committee is there for only one thing. When you say grievance committee, it's there to determine whether or not the board did the right thing in fining a community member. That's the role of the grievance committee, period, right? Whether or not to uphold or strike the decision of the board when they fine somebody. Now, if your board, again, the board is not responding, the management company is not responding, the legislature gave you guys a remedy. You don't have to wait until the next election. If you're not happy, you can recall the board with a simple majority vote. And I can tell you it happens all the time. So again, that's the rule of thumb. You're not happy with your board, very simple. You go to the internet, you get the forms right off the internet from the DBPR, you get the recall ballots. As long as it's filled out correctly and you get a majority, the board basically has no defense anymore. Defenses have basically been taken away, and it's very easy to recall a board member. All right, how about we go to John and Dania?
We lost that John.
Oh,
We
boy.
lost John. We got another John. John and Davy.
John.
John. Any John. John. We got two Johns.
Anyone named John?
Anyone named John?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, who do we got?
John.
Yes, hi. Good morning.
Hey,
John.
John.
Good morning,
This
Eric.
is John and Davy.
Okay, you got John in Dania Beach.
Oh, Dania Beach. Okay. All right. How are you, John?
But close by, good. Hey, real quick, Eric, first let me go on record to say that I think that I wish that your seminar that you put on, your teaching, was 2 days. 2 days long instead of just
Thank you.
half a day.
That's a compliment.
John, I tell
Believe
you, we make everybody fill out seminar evaluation sheets, and one of the questions is, how can the seminar be better? How can we improve it? And everybody writes in. I'll tell you, it's amazing to see it. It's too short. I have them sitting there for 3 hours without a break, and they write back to me, it's too short.
Wow.
If that isn't a compliment, I don't know what is. If that isn't proof that people want to learn and become better board members, and if they don't want to become better board members, if they want to, as unit owners, learn about the system.
Thirst for knowledge.
Because they live in a thirst for knowledge, man, is it out there. Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Exactly, especially with what's coming up. Hey, Eric, I want to go back, and I'll run through this quickly. I just want to go back to this, the Florida Statute 120.565, the emails of board members, between board members. Now,
yeah,
is that applicable to condos and HOAs both?
No, that's just only condos. That declaratory statement applies to
Because it's
condos.
DBPR.
Yes, and the HOAs are not governed by DBPR.
Okay, only condos.
But is it persuasive? Is it? Wait, hold on. But is it persuasive? In other words, does an HOA owner now have the right to make the same the same records request? And if the HOA says no, and you wind up taking it to arbitration, it's certainly persuasive that the condominium division, right, now has a declaratory statement saying they are official records. So again, you don't know how an arbitrator or a judge might rule, but that final order by in the declaratory statement in this case, yes, it would be persuasive to use as a plaintiff who lives in an HOA, but it's not binding.
All right, great, okay. And so is it retroactive back to January 1st of this year? That's
the great question. Can you ask for emails that happened last year or within the last 5 years? I'm going to go with no.
Oh my God.
Go with no. If I'm a judge, I'm saying no. At the time those emails were sent, the board members had no expectation whatsoever that they were official records. Well, statutes generally are not to be applied retroactively.
Good.
Okay? The law is very clear on that. Statutes are to be applied always prospectively going forward, not retroactively. So this decision here, I have it in front of me. This decision came out, the date of this decision was January 6th. So if you walk in and
January 6th.
right, January 6th, right. So if you say I want, any and all emails from January 7th going forward, in my opinion, at least under this declaratory statement, you're entitled to them. And then if the board wants to fight back and say no, the board can fight back and say no, we don't give a damn about what that declaratory statement says. We will take our shot in court. And there's going to be boards that do that. Don't worry, there's no question this will wind up in a court of law one day. Hey, John, I'm sorry, but we are so late. We're with our final break of the hour. Keep the calls coming in, everybody. Don't wait till the last second, because then you wind up on hold and we hang up on you and the show ends. So keep them coming in. 877-850-8585, 877-850-8585. We'll be back right after this.
Is your home or condo looking old, worn out, and in need of a fresh look? Then you need PD Painting to paint your property and make it look like new again. PD Painting will first properly prepare your home and condo and then use only the highest quality paint products. After many years in the painting industry, PD Painting has achieved a reputation for always delivering a reliable and professional finish. PD Painting is fully licensed and insured and offers a 7 to 10-year warranty. Their technicians are expert craftsmen. Let PD Painting handle all the details and then sit back and watch them restore your property and bring back that brand new look and feel. Need a service call? PD Painting will be there on the spot. Need financing? PD Painting can offer that too. Call PD Painting at 888-416-3204. Again, that's 416-3204. Go to the website, pdpaintinginc.com. Need painting done in your home and community? Contact the experts at PD Painting.
This message is for anyone who has taken on the important responsibility of becoming an officer or director in a homeowner or condominium association. It is also for the management companies who work closely with these caring people to make sure things are done the right way. Hello, I'm Gil Pomar, South Florida Regional President for Center State Bank, now the second largest bank based in Florida. Our bank, Center State Bank, has an amazing team of professionals who are exclusively dedicated to the homeowner and condo association market. Your job is not easy. There are repairs and new projects that need financing. There are legal and social issues that need to be understood. There are also technology and servicing issues that your residents want to be improved. Why not choose a bank that knows this business backward and forward? Why not have a local banker who will meet with you face to face whenever it is convenient for you or your board? Center State Bank has over 2,000 associations as customers for a reason. Please give us a chance to earn your business. Call Terry Russo at 954-633-1666 to make it happen. Center State Bank is an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC.
All over the world, people have plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc., where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new. By means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion, or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
Of Condo Craze and HOAs here on 850 WFTL. Karen Curtis with attorney Eric Glazer, specializing in community association law. We're up live on YouTube right now on our YouTube channel, Condo Craze and HOAs. And call us. Get the call in now. Don't wait to the very end, 877-850-8585 if you have a question for Eric.
Hey, just want to remind everybody who may not have tuned in at the beginning of the show, if we want to get mandatory condominium education passed, please send an email to Senator Jennifer Bradley, right? And her email address, like Karen, you put it up there, bradley.jennifer.web at flsenate.gov. And she has a bill called 7042. Tell her you want that bill amended to include mandatory condominium education. Right? I'm working hard on it on this end, and hopefully it'll get amended. but we need help from the community. So again, send that email to Senator Bradley. All right, how about we go back to the phones? Lee in Delray. Lee?
Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Love your show.
Thank
Make it
you.
a little longer. Okay. I really love you too. I have a question. If you're in is there a Florida law that states that everybody on the second floor in a condo has to have a noise barrier? I mean, I have a neighbor that just moved in, and I think he inherited these old wood floors,
Yes.
floppy wood floors that echo, and I don't think he has a noise barrier. Is there anything we can do about it?
Yeah, if the noise is unbearable to the tenant living below.
Well, it wakes you up in the morning with clopping and banging.
Well,
yeah.
there you go.
Early.
So that could be considered a nuisance. Okay, the unit owner above can call it a nuisance. Now, even if there's nothing in your governing documents that say soundproofing is required,
There is.
There is. Okay, so the board can go after him
When
too.
we moved in, it said that they gave us papers. We recently moved in, and they gave us papers that said if you're doing a second floor, you must have a noise barrier.
Right. So someone
But
else
he
on the
inherited the floor, and
when he inherited it. Well, still, so he's did the rule exist when he inherited it? Yes.
yes,
So
a few
I
months
think
ago, yes.
okay. So I think, quite frankly, he has a problem if his unit is not complying with the rules of the association, and he's a nuisance. I think certainly you can get an arbitrator to rule that he's got to lift up the floor and put soundproofing underneath. And you can also check with your local building official and see if they require it as well, not just your documents, but sometimes before you install a floor in certain communities, the building department will require soundproofing as well. So, Lee, I would check with
committee
that.
looked into it. Our office, I'm sorry, and there is no history on the floor.
There's no history on the
It
floor.
was done so long ago.
The
Yeah.
person underneath, along with the board, can show that it's a nuisance and it wakes us up and it prevents us from the quiet use and enjoyment of our property.
Only the
Then-
bedroom.
Well,
Only the bedroom. We
okay.
don't care about anything else. They could
Yeah,
dance
right.
and sing.
But I still think that owner probably has a cause of action. But how do you prove it? You got to video it, right? You got to take recordings, whatever you got to do. You can't just walk into court and say it's annoying. You got to prove to the judge that it's annoying, and sometimes that's not easy. You better walk in with video proof or soundproof. Lee, I love you too. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Nothing worse than a nuisance.
Michael in Tampa.
Hello.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
How are you?
What's going on?
Good. You? I live in a small condo in northeast Tampa, and the board was cited by the code enforcement for ramshackle fences behind a couple of perimeter lots. They repaired them, didn't contest, and fixed two other lots after that without being requested. Then somebody else apparently filed a complaint, and now the whole perimeter wall is being questioned.
Okay.
The board is now saying it's the owner's responsibility. Can they do that, or would that be selective enforcement?
I don't know. Were you saying there's a wall that surrounds portions of the community?
It's a 6-foot perimeter fence around the properties on the outside.
Okay, sure. Very common in HOA communities to have exterior walls that abut the backyards, let's say, of certain homes, right? So there's this wall between the house, their back wall of their backyard. If you went over it, you're in the street, you're in a road. It's very, very common. And the only way to know who's responsible for repair of that wall is to look at the governing documents. I know one community I represent here in Hollywood had the same exact problem. And it boiled down to, if you looked at the docs, each homeowner had the obligation to repair and replace the concrete wall, the portion of the concrete wall that was part of their backyard. So I can't answer your question until I see your documents. Is it the association's problem, or is it each individual unit owner's problem who has that wall in their backyard? I don't know. No way for me to answer that question, Mike, without seeing your docs. Okay?
But the association replaced 4 and now tells everybody else it's their responsibility.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something else. Then obviously they can't take the position. It's not selective enforcement. Selective enforcement is something different when they go after you for something. Well, if they're saying you're in violation, yes, then it would be, I guess, selective enforcement. You would be right. If they're saying you're now in violation, you have to repair it. Obviously, if they replace it for 2, if they did that already, and it's the same exact situation that you're telling me for all 6, then obviously they're going to have to pay for the other 4. Okay, but I don't know if they had to pay for the other 2 to begin with. It doesn't mean that because they paid for it that was the right thing to do. Gotta see what the docs say. Sometimes on this show we can't answer a question. Why? Because it's document specific for each community, and this is the case here. How about we go to Cynthia?
Well, and I appreciate it.
You got it, Mike. All right. How about we go to Cynthia in Punta Gorda?
By the way, speaking of the West Coast, someone's asking if you've got a training seminar coming up for Southwest Florida.
Oh, or on Zoom. Yeah, I can tell you that. Where the hell are we? What day is today?
20th?
February 20th, right? So probably the first week of March is what I'm thinking, is that we're going to do a Zoom seminar. And the attendance on that is insane.
Okay, Zoom.
You know, we max out the way the program works. You're only allowed 150 people.
Zoom seminar early March.
So yeah,
where do they look for that?
We'll let you know probably next week on the show. I just finished a round of in-person seminars, so I need a break for about a week or 2.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So and then we'll start teaching again. Definitely, 100%. We're going to be doing a live seminar online. There's so many people that still want it. All right, Cynthia in Punta Gorda. How are you, Cynthia?
Hello. Fine.
How can we
I
help?
really live in Birchstore Marina. It's a community down here.
Okay.
But this is my question. We're having our annual meeting, and there's 2 board seats up, and 3 people applied for the seats.
Right.
The president got wind because her seat is up that she could possibly be off because the unit owners are upset with her.
Right.
She has decided to. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. She has had another of the board members resign, but the resignation does not take effect until the date of the annual meeting.
Okay.
She has called off the election because she says 3 seats, 3 board members, or 3 potential board members, so there's no need for election. I'm saying that, A, there's only 2 seats right now up for election. The 3rd seat's not open yet. How can she call the election?
I agree. I agree with you. Right now, the bottom line is there's 3 seats there's 3 people running for 2 seats. Just because someone is going to resign in the future. Okay, so we still have to determine who's going to win out of those 3 people, and then we'll deal with that vacant position by that person resigning, and that board, which will include the two new board members, they will make the decision on how to fill that vacancy. Make sense to you?
Yeah, that's what we keep saying, and they've called the election.
Well, okay, so you're in an HOA, right?
No, I'm in a condo.
Oh, that's great.
Condo
You can file a condo arbitration case. Give us a call in the office, 954-983-1112. Again, Glazer and Sachs, 954-983-1112, and you can file an arbitration complaint after putting the board on proper notice. What do we got, time for one more?
Yes, Joe in Delray.
All right, Joe in Delray.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I made it. Can you hear me?
Yep, got to talk fast, Joe.
Okay, sir. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused about the term limits for board members for condominiums. 718.11121D2.
Okay, forget that law. Forget that law. Okay, throw it out. That law now takes place. They start counting the first year in 2018. Okay? So that law really doesn't mean a damn thing until 2026. Okay? So come back with that question in 2026 and we'll deal with it then, because again, the first year counting is 2018. But you mentioned term limits. Just to tell everybody real quick, can condominiums have term limits where you say if a board member is on a board 3 consecutive years, they have to be off for at least 1 year? There is a law that actually allows for that. It actually allows for term limits, okay? Most condominium board members don't know that, but you can amend your governing documents, you can amend your bylaws by saying that there are term limits, maybe 3 years in a row, maybe 2 years in a row,
but
5 years.
If you don't have the time to time, then it does apply to you already.
Well, that's a great question. If you don't have the time-to-time language, that statute's not going to apply anyway.
Oh.
That's not going to apply. That's it, because it changes your voting system without having the as amended from time-to-time language.
So can our bylaws override the statute? I mean, is that what you're saying? We can have
no
we can
statutes.
vote
The
and change
statute's
our
prime.
bylaws. No, go ahead.
Your statute can your bylaws can never override the statute unless in certain situations, like Karen said, you don't have as amended from time to time language, and therefore your bylaws can stay as they were, but each situation is different. You need legal advice on whether or not, because you don't have the as amended from time to time language, is it a substantive or a procedural statute that's going to be applied in your community? Substantive statute would not apply without the as amended from time to time language. Procedural statute would. I know we're getting really complicated.
Hey, Eric.
With 30 seconds to go, but that's how it would work.
Quick one, you can say yes or no. Can complaints about property management be brought to the DBPR?
They're governed by the DBPR.
Okay.
They're governed by Chapter 468 of the Florida statutes.
Thank you, Marie Lupo.
Certainly, they can face discipline just like attorneys can. Just like board members getting recalled. Everybody, possibly has the chance of getting burned if you don't do what you're supposed to do, including especially attorneys. Believe me, getting fired, bar complaints, etc.
Boom.
Okay, but we don't want to talk about that. Okay. All right. What we do want to talk about is wishing everybody a great week. Thanks for tuning in, whether it's on the radio or whether it's on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you again next Sunday.
WFTL West Palm Beach, WRMF HD2 Palm Beach.
Its military drills in Belarus.